Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to explain the legal basis for believing that we would actually still be in the EU even if we don't agree an extension by October the 31st. Now, this is surprising because everyone has been told that no deal is the legal default, but that is only according to politicians and journalists who have been saying it, not legal experts. So I'd ask you to watch this video as I go through 4 key sections of legislation, and then, rather unusually, I also have a petition that I'd like British citizens to sign if you'd like to support changing at least the public perception of the legal basis for Brexit. I'd also be grateful if you could share this video to other interested parties as well. So, before I run through the EU and British legislation, let's take a look at the basis for the view that we cannot leave the EU until the UK Parliament votes in favour of it. In an article by Rose Slow, a legal expert and author on the UK's relationship with the European Council, she pointed out some time ago that a no-deal Brexit is not necessarily the legal default that politicians and the media tell us it is. There are a number of pieces of legislation, both domestic and international, governing our membership of the EU. The most famous of these is Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, simply referred to as Article 50 because of the relatively few who have even bothered to read this short collection of words. Most of those have not even read the rest of the document. Now, fair enough, unless you're a student of EU law, why would you? So let's start off with the first line. Any member state may decide to withdraw from the Union in accordance with its own constitutional requirements. So let's dispel one myth straight away. Some people think that Parliament voting to allow the Prime Minister to write the Article 50 letter is doing just that. It wasn't. It was simply allowing Theresa May, who was Prime Minister at the time before Brexit ate her career, to signal our intention. This comes straight from the second line. A member state which decides to withdraw shall notify the European Council of its intention. And that's all it was. An intention, and intention has no inevitability about it. I intend to win the lottery 4 times a week, but it hasn't happened yet. The Notification Withdrawal Act 2017, passed by Parliament, only acted to allow the government to begin proceedings for leaving the EU. It did not give the government permission to actually leave. So let's go back to that first line. In accordance with its own constitutional requirements. In the case of the UK, our constitutional requirements demand that our Parliament in Westminster approve of the exit. It has not done so. In fact, it has voted against proposals to leave the EU 3 times now. In addition, Boris Johnson, the new Prime Minister, has not even expressed a desire to persuade Parliament to vote on the matter again before October the 31st. So the very first line of Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty has not been met, and will not be met by October the 31st. And if there were any doubt about our constitutional requirements, the Gina Miller case made things extremely clear. The judgment in British law was that only Parliament, not the government, has the authority to change the constitution of the United Kingdom. It is Parliament that is sovereign in the UK, not the government, not even the sovereign herself. Yes, a later part of the same article suggests that treaties will cease to take effect once either 2 years passes, unless we agree extensions. And looking at that line in isolation, it's not stupid to imagine that allowing the deadline to come and go would mean that we exit the EU without a deal. But to do so is to suggest that one line takes precedence over every other line in the article. The fact is that when Article 50 was drawn up, nothing as crazy as the last 3 years was ever imagined. We have, in effect, 2 contradictory parts of the same article of European law. You can't just pick the line that suits you, it would have to be determined in a court of law. But Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty is not the only part of the treaty that discusses membership of the Union. With the situation that on October the 31st, no extension has been agreed, but that Parliament in Westminster continues to oppose leaving the EU, having us leave the EU would be effectively an ejection of the UK against its will, something that is strictly banned in the Lisbon Treaty. The legal argument is that if Article 50 period ends, but Parliament has not voted to withdraw from the EU, then the Article 50 period just ends. We end up in a sort of limbo, where we are still in the EU, but also officially still intending to leave. That's the situation in EU law until a court says what is actually the truth of the matter. Of course, this is a unique situation and we're talking about aspects of legislation that have never been invoked before. As such, it does need testing in court, which it inevitably would should we arrive at November the 1st under these circumstances. I have to say, however, I'd rather it were done sooner than later. How messy would it be for everyone to think we've left the EU, to have all the chaos resulting from it, only to find out a couple of weeks later that the courts have determined that we're still in. But that's EU law. What about British law? So, Parliament has voted in favour of two measures to leave the EU. The first was the Notification of Withdrawal Act 2017, which, as has already been pointed out, does not authorise us to leave the EU. The second is the European Union Withdrawal Act 2018. Well, that sure sounds legislation authorising us to leave, doesn't it? No, not even close. This legislation was enacted purely to allow us to prepare for leaving the EU. It allowed us to copy and paste EU laws onto our own statute books as purely British laws, something we still haven't managed to do even now. But there are also other interesting sections. Provisions. Section 9 makes clear that Parliament needs to authorise our withdrawal with further legislation, quote, subject to the prior enactment of statute by Parliament approving the final terms of withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the EU. That means that this Act does not authorise the government to withdraw us from the EU. Another legal reminder that we won't be leaving until Parliament has seen and approved the final terms of withdrawal. And that's not the only conditions for leaving the EU. The next section, Provision 10, makes clear that our withdrawal must be compatible with the terms of the Northern Ireland Act 1998. That's what the Good Friday Agreement is known as in British law, and it isn't vague about what that means. The provision states that our withdrawal must not diminish any form of North-South cooperation provided for by the Belfast Agreement, the more formal name for the Good Friday Agreement, or create or facilitate border arrangements between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It specifically describes those arrangements as being anything that was not in place before our exit day. In other words, if the government thinks it has a magic plan to deal with the border with Ireland, then legally it must implement it before we leave. So British law is extremely clear, much clearer than EU law, that we don't leave the EU just because Boris Johnson holds himself in contempt of Parliament and refuses to seek another extension. So there is nothing in either international or domestic law that says we definitely leave on October the 31st unless Parliament votes for it, and there is plenty stating to the contrary. The problem we have is this is not what is understood by the public, them being sick of experts and all too ready to listen to people who know nothing than those who actually know what they're talking about, legal experts. As such, I've prepared a petition to demand Parliament debates these points. I'd be very grateful if you would sign it, if you're eligible, of course, and to share it with other people who are also eligible. You can find the link in the description below. So thanks for listening. Until next time, I'll see you later.